Borough Green Tree Council meeting for Monday, June 1st, 2026. Now please stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tim, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Allen,
Here.
Ms. Caskey,
Here.
Ms. Godovic,
Here.
Ms. Martorella,
Here.
Mr. Panza,
Here.
Ms. Schwartz,
Here.
Mr. Ray,
Here.
Mayor Shank.
Present. Okay, and there's one new face up here that may not recognize, and so I'd like to formally introduce our new borough manager, Mr. Greg Wilson. Greg comes to us from Lockhaven. So Greg, I give the floor to you to say a couple of words.
I've been incredibly grateful for the number of people who've been so welcoming in Green Tree. And when I was interviewing here, I was told that it will feel like a small town. And it truly does, the way that everyone has been so friendly, so kind, trying to help me out as I adjust to the move here. The staff have been incredible as well. And so I really appreciate the opportunity to come be part of what obviously is a really great.
We look forward to it too, and congratulations again for being on the borough manager. Great. Okay, so up next is the approval minutes for our May 4th, 2026 meeting. May I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Any comments? Oh, suggestions? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I abstain. I was not at that meeting. I was on a work trip. Also need a motion to approve the May 18th minutes.
Motion.
I'll second. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No motion passes. Okay, up next is public comment. Anybody wishing to address agenda items will be heard at this time. Okay. All right. Up next is the mayor's report. Mayor Shank.
Yes, thank you. I was on vacation overseas for 2 weeks recently and learned a lot when I'm overseas. I was in Estonia and Poland. So we're so thankful. I mean, they're worried about, he's clapping for the mayor. Thank you. Estonia and Poland, I mean, they're worried about Soviet Union aggression. They've been occupied by the Soviet Union before. So we're just so thankful that we're not in a close situation like that. I was also in Norway. There's 6 million people in Norway. They start to speak English as in first grade. They're taught English. All 6 million people speak English. So that's really impressive. Pennsylvania has 13 million people, but in any event, that's great. One thing, Andy Warhol Museum here in Pennsylvania, they always say that's the biggest museum in the world with only one artist involved. But I think that's probably a falsehood, because when I was over in Oslo, there's Edvard Munch or Munch, M-U-N-C-H. He's painted the famous Scream portrait. They have a very, very huge museum dedicated just to him. He hoarded his paintings. When he died, he had 20,000 paintings in his studio. So they had to build a big museum for him. But anyhow, it's always interesting to travel abroad. I'm moving on. I attended the Memorial Day service here in Green Tree. We thank the American Legion for doing that. There's only about 15 people in attendance, but there's a flag ceremony outside. Then they go inside and read the names of at least 50, maybe 70, 50 to 70 men that have died, not necessarily from Green Tree, but in Western Pennsylvania and the close communities. So it's a very touching service on Memorial Day. I also like to personally thank Gregory Wilson, the new borough manager. I wasn't here, I was away. when they elected him, and, I'll be meeting with him sometime this week. He wants to meet with council members and the mayor to get some input. In regard to, St. Raphael, the Archangel Festival, a lot of people here in Green Tree, belong to the church and some don't, belong to that particular church, but it's a community event for Scott Township, Green Tree. So it's July 9th, 10th and 11th. That's a Thursday, Friday and Saturday. So that's a good event, a community event if you want to go out and see your neighbors. And next I have mayor's office hours on June 6th, on Saturday from 9 o'clock to 11:30 on that day. In regard to the A team, I've talked about the A team before. Those are social workers that the Green Tree Police can call on an as-needed basis. It's in the sole discretion of our police department. I was reading the local monthly police report, and they did contact the A team for assistance in regard to a female with a mental health issue. So that's an excellent resource that our community has, along with other communities, to call a social worker when we think one is needed. Next, I'd like to mention the Point Park field on May 8th. Before I went away, I sent to Point Park a draft of a proposal for the field. I made it very clear to Point Park in my email that, council hasn't approved this draft yet, but it's a work in progress. I called Point Park today. I've not heard back from them today and left a message with Scott Swain, SWAIN, my contact there. So as soon as I hear back from him, I'll report back. Next on emergency training, I was going to meet with one of the residents, but our schedules are conflicted. So hopefully within the next week or two, I'll talk to her. She has information about emergency training. It's an emerging condition, maybe I call it, I don't know what the right word is, but in any event, we'll discuss with her, any information she has. In regard to the police policies, the lexical policies, I've provided to council the old policies, the lexical policies before any revisions were made, and the lexical policies as revised. Council would like to see what changes were made from the lexical policies as provided compared to the lexical policies as recommended by police department, including the acting chief Radigan, the sergeant, and the union. All of them have reviewed it. We asked for a red line copy from lexical. That would be the easy way to look at their policies compared to what was changed. It's our understanding that lexical said they cannot do it. I will call lexical and just double check that. But if not, we'll figure out a way to compare the lexical policies with the policies as suggested. So that's still on hold. In regard to the Nature Center, there's a cleanup on June 6th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So if anyone wants to attend the cleanup of the Nature Center from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on June 6th, please do so. The Nature Center, Mr. Panza last time mentioned the benches in the Nature Center. They're in poor condition, a lot of them. So we will bring that to the Public Works Department about the benches in the Nature Center. Also, I was in the Nature Center on Saturday. There's a fallen tree near the intersection of the Orange and Red Trail. Orange and Red Trail, fallen tree, blocks the path. So we'll bring that to the attention of the Public Works Department too. Next, the Bird Town application, it's my understanding, has been approved. So we thank everybody for their work on that Bird Town application. Just a couple more things here. In regard to the police department, Officer Bocci, it's in his third year with the BIGS in Blues. That's a one-on-one mentoring program that connects youth with the police. So he's done it with 3 years. usually meets twice a month with a young person. And is like a mentor to that young person, so we congratulate Officer Boccia on doing that on his spare time. In regard to the police officers, they've assisted the Green Tree Rotary with the roadway cleanup on Mansfield Avenue, providing traffic control. The officer assisted the Keystone Oaks School Police with escorting students to the annual pool day at the Green Tree Pool. And in regard to training, we have two in-house firearms instructors, Officer Zane and Officer Diamond. Officer Diamond's here tonight in plain clothes. He's undercover. He's sitting in back. I just woke him up. Can you stand up to see the undercover officer? It was Officer Diamond. Hi. Okay. He's not gonna come again. In any event, and that way, we have the in-house training, and they train our police officers. They have to go through certain instructions, so we can do that in-house. They have several times during the course of the year that they would have these instructions. And then lastly, I'm gonna yield some of my time. Acting Chief Rannigan is here tonight. I requested him to come specifically to address the accomplishments of the police department during the past 3 years. I just want to make sure that it's just, he is an acting chief, he's not the full-time chief. Just want to know that we have been advancing, we have been doing a lot of things in the last 3 years. We have 4 new council members up here. They haven't been here for the last 3 years. This is not a promotion, whether we're gonna advertise or not advertise. There's a lot of other issues involved. When you have a police member that's in the union, acting chief in the union, there's potential conflicts. There's not been any to date that I'm aware of in the last 3 years, but that's always an issue, having an acting chief that's a member of the union. Also, historically, our lieutenants and our police officers, several of the police officers have made more than the chief. So if one of our current officers becomes a police chief, you know, there's a pay reduction. That's always an issue also in addition to the union. So there's a lot of other issues other than how well the police department's run. But I just want to make sure that everyone's well aware the police department has been run very well in the last 3 years, and we have accomplished a lot. And at my request, I've cleared this with Mr.
Yeah,
Ray.
I just want to, that's a correction. You said he's not a full-time chief. He's a full-time chief. He's not a permanent chief.
Yes, thank you. I'm always looking for corrections because I misspeak. Anyhow, that's part of my profession. I'm sorry. Thank you, please.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for giving me a couple minutes. I'll make it very quick. When the mayor and I talked, he said that we could come up with a list and just basically demonstrate, especially since we do have new council members and the fact that the chief position was going to be up for public discussion. So just to give everybody an informed opinion or an idea of what we've been up to for the last 3 years, really whenever I took over this time, which is my favorite time as acting chief, me and the guys that decided we're going to roll for 6 years work, we did. And I did the best that I could with the time that I had, but quite honestly, forget all the things that have happened over the last 3 years. So just a quick list. I'll just go through all the bullet points. We upgraded and modernized the evidence room to a scanner system. It's all automated, it's all computer based, as opposed to the very archaic system that we had in the past, which I basically ran and created, but it's a much bigger improvement now in charge of tablets, in charge of the evidence room. Added a much needed police vehicles. We're always short vehicles. These vehicles take a beating, driving them the way we drive them, which is really on high speed, jumping through things that you see on TV, slow, and you see the cars out. So they do require a lot of maintenance. This car has been an absolute blessing to us. Modernize the cars with basically the state of art equipment that we can get in the vehicles to give all the officers the opportunities and advancements needed to keep up with everything. upgraded the MPTs in the cars, we got new computers, and that was 3 years. It wasn't just one big purchase, and basically through attrition, phased out the older computers and added the new ones in. It's a very nice model. Officer Monzaluzzi, who takes care of the entire fleet, he did a lot of work. He basically came up with the best scenario. The computers have been working great. One of the things we did this year, we had several capital projects. I'm glad to say that almost all of them are complete already. We got the capital projects basically done, except for the policy thing, which is a arduous task, I can assure you. We replaced the in-car camera system. That camera system was so old and outdated, Motorola phased it out. One of the advantages we were able to take advantage. Two was saving 40% on the cost of that by ordering it last year, but not having to pay this year. So that was a substantial savings. But it does seamlessly go into our body cameras, which are now upgraded to. We upgraded those a couple of years ago to a much better system. They have been flawless for us. The nice thing with the new car cameras, which they have not been implemented yet, is they come with an LPR system. The LPR system is license plate reader, which I'm sure you guys are probably familiar with. And we are actively getting the bugs worked out, and then we have to also approve to launch that. That'll give the capabilities of automatically read license plates and finding suspended, stolen vehicles and things like that. Transferred, the body cameras too, we got a $20,000 grant that helped defer the cost for those too, when we purchased that. That was through the deployment security, through the town, but we were able to get that. We transferred all the data storage from a server, proper backups, to a cloud storage, which may not sound like a big deal. It's an expense. There's no lying about that. It costs to save data. However, the amount of data that we now collect and that we have to provide to the district attorney's office on a regular basis it's a lot. And our system was not ready for that. This cloud system keeps everything. There's no security issues and no chance of losing that important evidence. The traffic system, or traffic tickets, we upgraded the traffics and non-traffic tickets to an electronic service. It's called Tracks. Not only can the guys automatically create the citations in the car, that you print up the warnings and the tickets there, everything is processed and the tickets are emailed directly to the magistrate. So once we assign somebody a citation, give somebody a citation, go straight to the magistrate, all the fines, everything else is there, all the data is there, and all we have to do is print them up, and it's so much nicer, more professional, and everything again is saved. It also gets away from paper tickets, which are old style, but they routinely change those. Those are expensive. It takes a long time to get them. No longer have to worry about getting paper tickets. Everything's automatic. So when costs change every year, you don't have to buy the tickets every year. Cost, the JCPOs, cost, that's all taken care of. We hired 2 new officers. It took 3 lists to get them, both God, and they're really good officers. They've really taken ownership of this place, and they excel nicely. So we are able to do that, which is a big task and help us with a lot of people signing up for these jobs.
Chad, can you just explain the lists? 2 officers, but it took 3 lists. Could you explain that to everybody so they understand?
When I took over, there was an existing list, and there were problems with the list, so we had to basically wait it out and then create a new list. We created a new list. We got 14 applicants. We ended up with 6 officers. We got no hires off that list. For one reason or another, for different reasons, there was nobody hired off that list. We had to scrap that, start all over again, and it is in process. Advertising, meaning testing, physical agility, all of these different things, and the series of interviews that you have to go through. And then after additional offer of hire, then you have to send through more stuff. It's not just hiring somebody off the street. It takes a long time to do it. And then really is the second list, we tried everything. We changed the standards. We changed the civil service rules to try to get more people. We ended up with the same amount of people this is the third list now. We ended up with the same amount of applicants and the same amount of people. But we got 2, and the difference, I really wish I could explain why. The difference between the 2 lists were stacked next to each other. When I left the room after the second interview, and for those of you that were part of this, it was like night and day. And I was like, wow, we could hire anybody here. They're good people, and we got 2 good ones. So I'm happy to say it's been about a 1.5 years now, and working out very well. Both very different stages of life, but they're really fitting really well. So that's why it's open.
Just one clarification, when you say we, you work with the Civil Service Commission. Council appoints a Civil Service Commission of 3 members. They make the list with input from the chief and you're involved in that process.
That is correct. There's a background check that we actually subcontract that out just to make things more even. So that has to be done and all those issues have basically worked out. But yes, that is a collaborative effort with civil service and also with council too, because ultimately they're the guys that decide on what we're doing. Where was I? So we created and promoted a person, first time since 2004. So we created a sergeant position, and I was the last person in this department was actually promoted. So it was 20 years since somebody was promoted and did that. So Sergeant Gadwick, there was testing, we got a better testing process, and he ended up getting the position. He's been in that spot now for probably a couple of years. Probably don't see him a lot. So midnight shift, but we were able to establish that. So we have another set of rank, which again, so a lot of work with the testing and everything else. The keep up system, replaced that this year. That's one of the capital expenses. Our keep up system was so antiquated, dated. Actually, had to borrow an old computer from a locksmith because it ran a different Microsoft, a different Microsoft program, because this was so outdated that my computer would not run it. So I just had a standalone computer on my desk to do nothing but do the logs. So this was a big improvement. We got that accomplished. This year, firearms, we've upgraded all of our firearms. We, with the help of Officer Diamond, who is now our firearms instructor, and basically he's in charge of our firearms for training and all this stuff, and put together a proposal on why we need an upgraded weapon system. And we got it. So we got blocks, 9mm, red dot sights. I'm an average shooter at best now. I used to be okay, but now I don't shoot a whole lot. It is helping out tremendously. We just went through qualifications last 2 weeks, and no one was even close to the cutoff score. Everybody's scores have improved across the board. The accuracy of these things is quite amazing. Same thing with our rifles. As you guys are aware, rifles are such a perfect job. They are 15s are part of the equipment that we've had. Again, with Officer Diamond doing his research, he is extremely particular about these things, extremely, way more than I am. He found the right gun, the right sights, the right everything, and we have a weapons platform, and we just find, because again, these weren't all bought at the same time. It was through attrition worked out. The cars, we got rid of older equipment, and they're established. They not only have red dot sights, which are amazingly accurate, but we also got sound suppressors on those too, so that if we are in a situation where we have to shoot that rifle, if you're near a rifle and you don't have hearing protection, you will damage your ears. There's no question. And that was a fear of mine, is that bring this. Now I tested them. I finally got to test them. I was really excited to do that. It's a considerable difference. No, it's not like sort of whisper quiet, but you could literally take your earmuffs off, stand next to the rifle, and it's not going to hurt you. Whereas before, you will sustain damage to your hearing, and my hearing it's getting worse. So it's just part of life, but that's not going to help things. So the firearms, shotguns. Again, Officer Diamond. Shotguns are basically, no one goes to them, keep the rifle. So what we ended up doing was changed them all over to less lethal shotguns. Just got that finalized with Kevin's a less lethal firearm shotgun instructor now too, so he's able to qualify everybody and certify everybody with it. So now we have one more less lethal option, which we did not have before. There's a very kind of finite area where you can use these, but when you need it, you need it. So we transferred all those over, no longer carry any lethal shotgun rounds or anything, all gone. So everything less lethal shotguns, tasers, but not a huge improvement. We went from the oldest model to the greatest model. This thing is amazing. And I was a little unsure. I mean, we'd be upfront and honest with you. They have this virtual reality training program. And I went through the spiel, I listened to the sales pitch, I'm like, okay, it is the best training that I think I've ever gone through. And that's no kidding. So we now have 2 taser instructors, Sergeant Gadwick and the new officer Cameron Hewitt. He just finalized and finished his taser instructor course, but the virtual reality is absolutely amazing. And you get more practice and more scenario-based training and ability to use that. This is where we did it right here. you're running around here, you're completely enclosed in this world, and, it really is great. I highly recommend it to anybody who's going to upgrade their tasers to get it. Just a couple more. We also reintroduced our activity in the traffic enforcement details. This was non-existent. So we are now fully participating in click it or ticket, DUI patrols, aggressive driver and school bus safety details. This is all grant funded details, they're extra duty details, so the guys get to come out, they get to do this on overtime hours. So we went from absolutely no participation to the go-to department in shape on. I work with a lieutenant that covers this in Mount Lebanon, he basically is in charge of all these grants, and we are the go-to department, and that's no reason other than productivity. Our guys produce more than anybody else, and that's why we get the attention. So we went from 0 to the top of the food chain, so it's always told me, he said, I got this, thank you, got it covered. We also installed, we got the monitors put in this year too. Didn't seem like a big deal, but it is a big deal to the officers. So now we have large screen monitors downstairs that display the CAT, which is the, basically all our calls for dispatch. It's the same thing we have in our cars. So the officers, if they're in the station, if they're at work or something else is occurring, they can look up and see all the calls, when they're at, where they're at, if the guys are out on a call, if they cleared the call, what they're actually doing. So everything's right there. We've got 2 of those up that everybody in the department can see from their desks. Currently working on a grant, and we'll see what happens, but I'm diligently working on it, and if it is to become successful, then I'm looking to implement a state-of-the-art drone program, as well as an impaired / distract driver vehicles or driving simulator, which is something very unique to the area. I don't think anybody else has anything like this, and it would be something that we would be able to assist other departments with, but primarily Green Tree, Keystone Oaks, but also assist some of our neighbors that have been so kind and generous to us all the years that if they wanted to use this equipment, that we could set them up and help them out with that. So that's kind of the long-term game plans, but that's still a work in progress. I probably shouldn't have said it, no, it doesn't come through. I did that. The A-team, we also implemented the A-team, which is, we haven't been able to utilize it a whole lot, which is good and bad. I want to see how well it works, but this is another resource that we were able to get, and that's a cost-free resource too for us. So we do have a social worker, social workers available during certain times, but I do see that as something that will be more and more valuable as the officers get used to it and start seeing what we can actually do with it. And the last thing I'll say, and this is probably my more proudest part of it, and if you ask me what my goal was whenever I took over this time, was to get this department in a better place. And I can say with all honesty, we're in a great place right now. Morale, my estimation, is definitely higher. And I went from hating to come here to looking forward to come to work again. And that's a nice thing for me to say, because I've been in this place a lot. 29 years I've been in this place of my life. And it's tough when you wake up and go, but now that's not the case. And I really attribute it to my city officers, all their efforts, all their guys to be able to really be the officers right now. And I extend to all of us. This is a team effort. We've all worked in it together and chip in and help out and do everything we can to support not only me, but this department and most important borough. So I think we've achieved a lot in 3 years. This isn't an exhaustive list. It's just the stuff that I can start spitfiring off my brain and coming up with. But I appreciate the time. Sorry I took up more than I expected, but thank you very much. I appreciate the time and consideration.
Thank you. Well, in my report, just real quick, Acting Chief Mannigan is also appointed, just like he's appointed Officer Diamond in charge of firearms. Officer Martin Galuski is in charge of the vehicles. So he's given the different officers different assignments, and they're all performing very well in that. In the community involvement, it's been more, we're continued the Special Olympics they do for, they do the pull plunge. I think we had 3 or 4 officers do the pull plunge. We mentioned Officer Bocci on the Big Brother program. He's also doing the DARE program, so we have the officers that are motivated to be involved in the community doing some of these events. Thank you, and my reports.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, and I would just comment, that the employee, I'm glad you mentioned the employee morale. It's visible from the outside looking in. And although I don't have the exact timeline, but I would imagine there's a high correlation between finding those great officers and the reputation that the department has within the policing community. Okay, so up next are the chair reports. Being that Mr. Wilson is, this is his first meeting, I ask council to consider giving a brief update on key accomplishments in the first 5 months of the year, things you're currently working on, and priorities or plans for the rest of the year. So up first is Ms. Schwartz.
All right, we did not meet this last month due to some council meeting conflicts. We had a lot of meetings scheduled. We will be having an in-person meeting this month on June 11th at 6 p.m. here. At that meeting, we'll be discussing the scheduling of our business bridges event. We're looking at a date in late July so that we can incorporate introducing the borough management and staff, communicate any important information going on in Green Tree to our business owners, and to receive input and feedback from them about how we can serve them better, strengthen relationships, and communicate effectively. One of our goals has been to establish a relationship with all of the commercial businesses that reside within Green Tree and establish more of a connection with them. We have a great connection with the residents. We want to extend that even further. And doing so with our new leadership will be more welcome, and it's also a great way to introduce them to the new faces that they may encounter when they have issues in the borough. So that is looking at late July. We'll be meeting and talking about what dates would work and what members of the borough staff would be willing to come and meet with business communities. So that is on the agenda. We also plan to discuss ways to reach out to local organizations that might require sponsor or sponsorship funding for activities and events, and explore the possibility of creating a database that would give us the opportunity to connect them with some of our businesses so that they have a resource when they need sponsorships for GAA or the garden club and things like that, a way that we can bridge community organizations as well as the business community together. So that's something we're also going to be discussing in the coming months. These efforts would further connect our residents and businesses. We'd like to work in the next few months with the borough manager to create a welcome packet for new businesses that move into Green Tree, giving them pertinent information they need as they start their journey in our community. And we hope to work with the borough manager and staff, as well as other members of council, on a marketing strategy to encourage businesses to choose Green Tree as their home. Something we can work with communications and even Parks and Rec as ways to highlight all the benefits that Green Tree has, because we do have a lot of business parks with open spaces and storefronts that need businesses to come into them. So that's something that we want to look at. We look to do this through partnerships with our current business owners and property managers, and input from them on what attracted them to locate themselves in our community so that we can utilize that information as a way to market the community. We want to continue to create an effective marketing campaign and policy to engage our business partners in our community. The Planning Commission is something that also falls under my purview. They met twice this month as president of both meetings. They did discuss the results of the deer survey that was in the spring newsletter. Thank you to everyone who filled it out. They had a very, very strong response. They worked on drafting an ordinance regarding wildlife feeding as a response to that survey. We do have a sample of that ordinance. It will need to be advertised for a week prior to it being voted on. So I will be at the end of my report discussing that with council so that we can get that at least on next month's agenda to be adopted. In addition, they did have several discussions about other subjects that council has asked them to do research to create ordinances for. They also had a presentation regarding the Slazinski lot to subdivision at their workshop meeting, and then voted on that at the business meeting on the 27th. That will be on the agenda further this evening. Before the meeting on the 27th, we interviewed 2 candidates for the open vacancy on the planning commission. We want to thank all the residents who are willing to donate their time and expertise to serve the community, and we are really grateful for those who stepped up. We have 2 great candidates. And I hope that the individual that was not chosen will continue to want to be involved for any openings that may come up. We will be voting on that appointment shortly. And then last but not least, the library has reopened after new carpet install. I have heard that it looks fantastic, but I do want to give a shout out to the library staff because they were unaware of how much they were going to have to move to put that carpet in. And they literally had to move the entire library, all the books, everything, with their staff. And then they had to put it all back together. So I really appreciate the efforts of staff and public works and everyone who made that happen. The new carpet is welcome. So with that being said, my next thing is the appointment to the planning commission. I move that we appoint Al Irwin to the planning commission for a term to expire on December 31st, 2020.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Irwin is the former chair.
Mr. Irwin is the former chair. He retired and decided to take some time to enjoy his retirement. But I think he missed the planning commission and has found that he does have time and would like to come back. He has served in many positions on the planning commission over his time, and we are very happy to have him.
One comment, since it expires on December 31, 2028, he's fulfilling someone's.
He is fulfilling the term of Christopher Pratley, who has moved on to school work. So yes, he will fulfill that term.
That's why it's not 4 years.
Correct.
Any other comments? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion passes. Congratulations to Mr. Irwin for his reappointment to the planning commission.
I would like to add something to the agenda.
You need a motion.
May I make a motion to add something to the agenda?
I think you have to be specific.
I would like to add to the agenda the ability to publicly list, advertise the ordinance. So there's no number on it yet. Correct? The ordinance, referring to wildlife feeding that was, given to us by the recommendation of the planning commission.
We have a motion to add to the agenda this evening, the motion to advertise the wildlife feeding ordinance to the agenda.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, that item is added.
All right, so now I move,
Oh, wait, I thought we just made a motion to be allowed to add. We haven't added it yet. We made a motion to talk about it.
Correct.
So now we have
so
to,
now I have to make a motion to add it to the agenda?
yeah, if you want.
Yes.
You made a motion to open the agenda to add it, now you make
Yeah,
a motion
okay, perfect.
to add.
I know, it's all,
Yeah.
we're just allowed to do this.
And
Now we can. Okay, so I now make a motion to move to add the approval to advertise the wildlife feeding ordinance to the agenda.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. Comments, please.
Okay, I have a quick question. So this is a draft, so we're advertising or we're actually implementing this? as a
you're just, right now, you're just authorizing the borough manager to advertise the ordinance, the specifics, we can bang out a new copy if you have additions in the meantime.
So
We
this is
we
like,
just wanna give him the ability to advertise it prior to the next meeting. So that if we're gonna pass in July, then you'll have the requisite 7 days to advertise it. So it'd be-
So if we do it now, that gives them time to get it ready.
Okay. But we technically didn't need to, like, we could just advertise this.
I'd rather, since it's last minute, I'd rather you guys all read it's gonna be advertised tonight, just
Okay.
get on the public record.
Okay, so
We have a motion and a second.
all in favor? Any discussion about adding, about advertising this ordinance for wildlife feeding?
Well, no, we're just adding it to
We're
the
just
agenda.
adding it
Let's
to-
make one more motion. It's gonna get more motions now than when we actually have.
We just saw it tonight, right?
They just finalized
I mean,
it, so
that's-
that's one of the reasons why we're bringing it here, and then we'll have time to look at it, before the next meeting. Before it's advertised, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't understand why we're,
Okay.
okay.
I don't want to catch anyone off guard with this, so it's better to let everyone know what's happening.
Great, okay, good.
Right, so let's
So
go
where are
on,
we?
we're voting on adding it to the agenda now. And then we can.
Okay,
vote on
so
it.
we have a motion to add the wildlife feeding, ordinance advertising to this evening's agenda.
Where did all of it?
We all in favor?
All in favor?
Opposed?
Yeah.
Anybody opposed? Okay, that motion passes.
Okay, now I'm gonna make my final motion on this, I promise, at least for now.
Great.
I move that we approve the advertisement of the wildlife feeding ordinance to the, for the July.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. Any,
When do we review and make any comments, if any?
right now, between now and,
Between now and the
Next
week
meeting.
before the next meeting.
Okay, I don't know whether we're ready to do that in public. Can we just email you if we have a comment?
I think you email the, like,
the
it'll,
committee.
the solicitor will send it to everyone and then they'll committee, and then I can.
Emily, maybe it would be helpful if, you just talk about where this came from, who worked on it, right, this just didn't come out of midair.
Oh, nowhere.
Right,
Planning Commission did a deer survey. We did have the game warden come and talk to us about ways to kind of mitigate deer population, that there's no easy fix. But they did say one of the first things that they recommend was to have restrictions on wildlife feeding, specifically feeding deer. Not putting out soft licks, not putting out corn, not putting food on the ground for the deer to populate, because the less they have to eat, the more likely they are to leave the area. So the planning commission has done a lot of research. They looked at several municipalities' ordinances on wildlife feeding. They utilized those to craft this ordinance, which would restrict specifically deer feeding, but it does have some other, it's mainly just not putting food on the ground and not putting deer specific food out. And this is step one. It's not an end all be all solution. There is actually no end all be all solution to getting rid of the deer population, but it is a step to help us, begin to take positive movement towards mitigating the deer population. So they did work on this, they've worked on this for several months. They did a survey in the newsletter. They had it also online. You can turn it in person. They had over 400, I think, responses to the survey that they used as, data to help them make this decision.
do they plan on sharing the results of that survey with the community, at least a summary of the results?
I'm sure they'd be happy to. That's not a
Yeah.
problem.
I could take that back.
I think it would be helpful, because we had such a high response rate, 400 people, I think just maybe a summary, not the nitty gritty details in the survey, but just the overall high level findings.
Yeah, I think we could,
Yeah.
I think a lot of that data is already kind of pulled together, so it was kind of. But,
Okay, so Rick, help me out here, where are we on this?
Just need a year or date on
Okay.
advertising.
All in favor of advertising the ordinance for wildlife feeding?
I
Opposed? That motion passes. Thank you.
there are no more surprises. You want that? That is the end of my report
Thanks,
and
Mr.
my
Burns.
issues.
Up next, Mr. Allen, Finance and Administration.
Okay, so, as President Ray, asked all of us on council to prepare a report, I also prepared a report, on the finance and administration side of things. So over the past 5 months, I've spent a great deal of time listening, learning, asking questions, and reviewing a lot of information, and trying to better understand how Green Tree operates from the inside. Coming into council, I knew there would be a learning curve. I also knew that I would not want to simply sit in the seat and wait for things to come to me. I wanted to be active. I wanted to understand the budget, the projects, the policies, and the challenges and decisions that have been made before I arrived, so I could be better prepared to help make decisions moving forward. A lot of the work during this first 5 months have not always been flashy or easy to summarize. Much of it has been reviewing reports, reading through numbers, asking follow-up questions, lots of follow-up questions, thanks to President Ray and that. Meeting with staff and looking past decisions and trying to connect the dots. But I believe that work matters. Before you can make good decisions, you have to understand what is in front of you. First, with finance and administration, as the chair of the finance and administration committee, one of my main focuses has been the borough's finances. I have reviewed the budget, year-to-date review and expenses, departmental spending, and how different areas of the borough are tracking compared to what was originally budgeted. That review has included such areas as administration, police, public works, recreation, parks, the library, legal expenses, professional services, communications, printing, postage, association dues, and other operating costs. I told you there was a lot. I have also asked questions about miscellaneous receipts, overtime, revenue tracking, and whether certain expenses need to be reviewed more closely as we prepare for our future budgets. For me, this is not just about looking at the numbers on the pages, it is about understanding what those numbers mean. Are we spending money where we shouldn't be spending it? Are there areas where costs are increasing? Are there places where we need better spending? And are there things council should be watching more closely? I believe the budget should be easier for council and the public to understand. Residents should be able to see where money is going and why. That has been one of my priorities during the first months of service. For the budget process, I kind of touched on this at the last meeting, but I've also reviewed items connected to long-term financial planning, including the 2021 bond issue, debt strategy, grant opportunities, capital projects, and all of our future obligations. One of the things I learned very quickly is that decisions made today can affect our borough for many, many years. That is why it's important to have a clear budget process, strong planning, and better communication between staff, our new manager, council, and the committees. I have participated in discussions about improving the budget process moving forward. I believe the process should be more organized, more collaborative, and more transparent so the council has the information it needs before the decisions are made. I kind of reviewed each different committee a little bit. I reviewed several matters related to the police department and public safety, including the police budget, overtime staffing, vacancies, compensation discussions, and policy updates. I also reviewed items connected to the police pension. That's something we talked about several meetings ago, including the Act 49 police pension buyback issue and need for a police pension committee liaison or vacancy appointment. These issues are important because they affect public safety, employee benefits, staffing, long-term costs, and of course, our borough's financial responsibilities. Through administration and borough operations, I have reviewed several items related to the borough administration and operations, including our solicitor fees, zoning hearing board solicitor fees, staffing needs, and interim public works superintendent position, which now has been filled, the code officer position, as well as SHAHOG membership costs and grant opportunities. I've also looked at how committee meetings are structured and how information is shared with the public financially. I believe residents should be able to follow what is happening in the borough without having to dig for information or guess what is going on. I support making our meetings more accessible, improving communication, and continuing to look at tools that will help council and the staff work more efficiently together and financially. Almost done, I promise. For community assets and recreation, I've also reviewed items related to the community assets and recreation, including the pool project, recreation budget, parks and public property expenses, and programming needs financially. The pool project has been an important item because it has been paused for more than a year and it required review by our new council. I have tried to better understand where the project stood financially, what decisions still needed to be made, and what impact those decisions would have on our residents and of course the borough budget. I also followed up with questions related to the Green Tree Recreation Program. I spoke with Jen, Diane, and Evan to better understand the needs of our pool financially. We will be working closely with them to acquire a new pool pass printer, as well as a new freezer as top priorities for them at the pool. Communication has been one of the biggest themes for me during these first months. I have worked on making financial and administrative updates easier to understand. You'll notice in the newsletter, I've tried to make things a little bit easier for people to follow. I've prepared a finance and administration update again in the newsletter and put my email in there so anybody can ask any questions, but I think most of the community have my personal cell phone number and you can use that as well. I believe transparency is not just posting information, it's making sure everyone can actually understand. During the first 5 months, I also completed the local government academy training and assessment work related to ethics, the right to know law, public comment, and local government responsibilities. This training was helpful because there was a lot to learn. Obviously, as a new council member, there are roles, procedures, responsibilities, and expectations that matter and that we all have to take very seriously. Finally, overall, in the first months on council, they have been filled with a lot of review, a lot of questions, and of course, a lot of learning. I have reviewed budgets, financial reports, department expenses, police matters, staffing items, infrastructure issues, recreation needs, public meeting access. I could go on all night, but there was a lot to review. My goal has been to better understand the work, ask thoughtful questions, and help make sure council has the information needed to make responsible decisions. As we move into the next months of this year, I want to continue focusing on clearer budget reporting, better financial planning, responsible spending, improving our communications, and better access to meetings, and obviously thoughtful planning for our future of our community. I am grateful for the opportunity to serve this community. Green Tree has been my home for pretty much all of my life, and I care deeply about making sure we are making the right decisions that are responsible, transparent, and in the best interest of our people. That's the end of my report.
Something I'd like to add there, is something that your committee might be able to look at, and I know we discussed this a little bit, earlier in the week. So the competitive bidding requirement in the charter tells us that, anything over 1/4% of our budget needs to be competitively bid. And that number hasn't changed in, I'd say, when's the last time that number was changed, Ron? Do you remember?
At least.
More than 15 years, so. As when we used to have a $10 million budget, and so that number is 25,231, so 25,321, 325, is 1/4% of our budget when it was at $10 million. We've since revised our budget to separate out the funds, the different funds that we have that don't fall to the bottom line, they're separate from the main budget. So our current budget is around $7 million, so 1/4% of a $7 million budget is 17,500. And so I asked the solicitor for input on this today, and also Mr. Wilson. It's something that maybe we should look at annually as our budget fluctuates to make sure that that number aligns with the requirement in the charter.
You need what for the bidding process?
For the bidding process.
Yeah, so just have to make sure the final bid.
Well, the 1/4%.
This is gonna change. Okay.
It should change at every budget.
Did we have the option just to set a set sum, say? I'm
We
just
do.
making up a number.
We would have to take
25.
on charter that,
Well, in the charter, it says that we can change it, or we haven't changed it in years, so we're not in violation.
I'm saying do a set sum 25,000, don't do a percentage of the budget.
Then we would have to change the charter.
that would have to be by the.
Did I get that right, Mr. Monty?
You did, and just for everybody's application, your number right now is more restrictive than the state number, by about $1,000, so you're actually more transparent than what the state requires.
Okay. But if we follow our charter, that
It
number has
always
to
go,
go down.
yeah, we can look.
Yes, okay. So just something
Okay.
for your committee to consider. Okay,
All right, so I ratify the actions of the borough manager in paying the May 2026 invoices from the general fund totaling $112,597.65. The sanitary sewer fund totaling $18,667.51. Payroll account totaling $261,261.71. Wait, that number. And education service agency fund totaling $6,163.05.
we have a motion and a second, any comments? All in favor? Opposed? The motion passes.
Okay, now a motion to approve payment of the June 2026 invoices from the general fund totaling $207,393.39. The storm sewer fund totaling $248,766.07. Sanitary sewer fund totaling $52,944.62. And the capital projects fund totaling $154,068.87.
We have a motion, up to second.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? That motion passes.
Okay, the bottom and motion for ordinance 1920, setting the salary and benefits for our new borough manager. I move that we approve ordinance 1920, setting the salary and benefits for the borough manager.
We have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments? Yeah. All in favor? Sorry, roll call please.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Ms. Kowski,
Yes.
Ms. Godovic, Ms. Martorella,
Yes.
Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Mr. Ray.
Yes. Great, that passes. Mr. Allen, anything else?
Not unless anybody has any questions.
Sure. Thank you. Ms. Caskey, Public Safety.
Mr. President, Public Safety did not meet publicly this last month as our meeting date fell on Memorial Day. However, we've still been very hard at work. First, I'd like to follow up with some previous resident requests and public comments. First, council received for sensory training. Council received a letter signed by multiple residents on March 26th, asking if our first responders had received any training for responding to residents with sensory needs. I'm requesting that we consider getting a training for our police department to support them. Our committee has discussed this and would like to move this matter forward and provide an answer to our residents, especially to those families who daily support loved ones with sensory needs. So this committee is recommending that a specific exploration be made about providing the Culture City sensory inclusive training and certification to our first responders. We're asking that a timeline or other option for a similar training be presented at the July council meeting. I'd like to ask if there's something, it sounds like from your report, Mr. Mayor, you're exploring that. So we'd love for something to move forward in July. And I've already talked with Chris about this as well, because there may be some, a little bit of funding perhaps. I don't know if there might be grants or other ways to get it covered, but we'll need to look at that.
One question.
Yes.
I can't recall that letter. You referenced the letter, March.
March 26th, it's the letter from, the family. Actually, there were several people that wrote the letter. And there, it's where we started the discussion about sensory.
I know we started the discussion. I just don't recall the letter. Maybe I overlooked. You send me a copy of it.
I can totally forward it to you again, sure, absolutely. It has a link in there to Culture City too, so that's a great resource. I did a little bit more research on it, this week. It was fabulous.
Letter compared to an email.
Email, I'm sorry, it was an email
It
letter.
was a, you know, but
And then it was also followed up by public comment here at.
But
Yeah.
now we're done. Thanks for some of that. Okay,
It's the same one.
I was just confused by the letter. Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine. Number two, our emergency manager, is going to be in communications with our new borough manager. I've made a connection with them. And I look forward to hearing from them about the amazing things they're gonna do as they work together with our first responders to make sure we're all well prepared to support residents well in the days ahead. The third resident, issue that's still sort of pending is that Dale Drive continues to experience excessive speeding, especially for cars going down the hill, according to the resident who made the public comment about this initially. I had a discussion with the mayor, and we're working on some options that are in the process of being explored. Number four, we received an email with resident public safety concerns about a property on Green Lawn Drive this week. The borough managers are visited the property and we look forward to these issues being addressed soon. Number five, school street speed bumps are in the process with borough staff. So that's something that's ongoing.
Can you be, or you would be more specific on that?
Yeah, the mayor and I talked about it because it's, you could probably answer that better, Mr. Mayor.
I drafted a survey, or traffic engineer suggested that we survey the residents on School Street, in regard to whether they want speed humps. And I drafted those survey in the Public Safety Committee. I think the Public Safety Committee approved it, but now we have to implement it and send it to the residents on School Street and get it returned, the survey to see what their thoughts are on the speed humps. And in there, I mentioned that we already have them on, helping out on the street, and got them like, they already have speed humps.
It's broken.
And Robin, we have,
they're on the
mechanic. I mentioned that in the letter also, that they want to actually go to look at what we're talking about, speed humps, so they can go to the mechanic, to get a good, view, idea of what we're
That's
talking about.
good, yeah.
But anyhow, it would be, the borough staff would be the ones to set up and let in collect the information.
So that, the second thing, after talking about, previous resident requests and public comments, as the mayor mentioned, police policy updates were presented to council for a vote and tabled at the April council meeting in order for more information to be gathered about what the specific changes are that are being proposed compared to current policies. I understand that there's an option included with our subscription to Lexipol to produce the list of changes, and so I'm standing firm and our committee is standing firm in our request and patiently waiting for this information before moving any policy changes from this committee to council for a vote.
Just a comment, I'm hoping as I indicated, I want there to be a red line version. I want Lexipol to give us a red line version of, what we changed. So I'm hoping I can do the red line version, so that would make life simple for myself, the acting chief Brannigan, for the public safety committee. So, like I said, I'm gonna talk to the Lexipol guy directly, because the information I'm getting, they advertise they can do this. But they allegedly told, and I believe them, they allegedly told, acting chief Brannigan, I always use the word allegedly when it feels, but they told acting chief Brannigan, that they couldn't do it, so anyhow, I'm trying to work on it, but I will call Lexipol directly, to make life easy for all of us. Please give us a red line version. Thank you.
Thirdly, as requested by the president of council, I'm going to share the goals of this committee for 2026. We put them also in the newsletter. But there's 6 goals. Number 1, hear and address public safety needs that arise in the community during the year. Number 2, explore options for the chief of police vacancy. Number 3, explore potential solutions and next steps to address or mitigate the challenges with the deer population, which is obviously underway. Number 4, hear and communicate concerns around the 376 Green Tree exit project with PennDOT and explore options to mitigate future potential effects of the project in the borough. And number 5, continue taking steps to address the traffic calming needs in the borough. Number 6, coordinate with the mayor and police department to explore options with providing human service support resources in our borough. We've completed number 6, Mr. Wilson. We continue to work on traffic calming. The deer population is in progress, and we're that kind of place and moving. We'll be talking a bit about 76 million concerns that might be around that. And the only one, and then ongoing, we're always just taking public safety concerns on an ongoing basis. But currently, the only one that hasn't been touched is exploring options for the chief of police vacancy. That's the only one that remains untouched. We've accomplished a lot. I have been so proud of our committee. It's just a lot more than I imagined we would be able to complete thus far. So that chief of police vacancy has been added to the agenda for discussion following this report. As always, the Public Safety Committee meets on the 4th Monday of each month at 7 p.m. June 29th this month, and we're always thrilled to have residents join us when they can. This ends my Public Safety Committee report.
Ms. Dunn, one thing that was brought to our attention through a couple of the residents that attend the nature center regularly. There's an outbreak of poison hemlock around the swing set. So Mr. Raveni, our parks director, went yesterday to caution tape around the swing set. And he's working with a contractor, reaching out to a contractor to get it dealt with. But just a heads up for anybody down there. So yeah, just be careful.
Some goats, I guess. The poison hemlock.
Start the Public Safety Committee, maybe I misheard, what date did you say it was?
June 29th.
June 29th, that's Monday, right? The fourth.
That's this Monday.
It's actually not the 20th, this is 25th.
Oh, you are correct. Oh, I stand corrected. I'm so sorry.
Because the started.
Yeah, okay.
Is it the 22nd?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. President, would you mind if I open the floor on this agenda item as chair of this committee?
Please do.
There's a familiar adage that no decision often is a decision, and I feel this holds true regarding the open chief of police position we have had for a number of years. By leaving the police chief position held by an acting chief with no action on our part, we communicate that we are okay not following the structure and intended design for police department leadership that is set out in the charter and borough code. To state it simply, It is my belief that our chief of police position needs to be filled by a chief who is not a part of the union bargaining unit, is not the union representative for the Green Tree Police Department, who has the authority to hold duties without bias or conflict of interest related to discipline matters within the police force, and who is subject to regular employment reviews by this council. There are simply some things that are either left undone or not able to be done in a best practice manner with someone in an acting position. This view is not a criticism of any current member of the police department. I want to clearly communicate that I am proud of our amazing police force, and my family is personally grateful for the hard work they do to keep us all safe. I am able to hold this gratitude in one hand, along with my view, on the other hand, that our code and charter are designed to be followed for the best long-term flourishing of our community. I've been given the sole responsibility to uphold that charter and work toward its best and most complete implementation possible. I fully agree that with some council members' hesitation to rock the boat. However, I think it is time for us to explore all our options and make a clear decision. I'm confident that we can do this with wisdom and care for even higher heights of success and good. I believe it starts with simply advertising for the chief of police position using the same advertisement from last year's search, however, adding open until filled to see what candidates might present themselves, and schedule screenings for the resumes that have been submitted since our last round of interviews. If no appropriate candidate is found, we can wait. But in that situation, we would have the confidence that we are acting in good faith and doing our duty to residents by giving our best efforts toward a long-term solution. My hope is for open, robust, civil discourse of this matter, and I have confidence in the desire I know every one of you, my esteemed colleagues here, have to work toward the best solution of this matter.
Two corrections. The council has taken action. They have hired in the past, within the past year, I think, I could be wrong. Within the past year, they hired the Police Chief Association to screen candidates. They went through an elaborate process. There were a number of candidates. They interviewed 3 candidates and found none would be a good fit for our borough. So there has been some action taken by council. So it's not as though they took no action. To the extent that you implied there's no action, that's the correction. The other correction is the union representative. Acting Chief Rannigan used to be the union representative. He's still in the union. Don't get me wrong, but he is not the union representative. The union representative currently is Ryan Botchley. He's the union representative, but those 2 corrections.
The question I have, I guess, maybe for the solicitor, are we in violation of our charter? And I hate to put you on the spot on this, but are we in violation of our charter by having an acting chief?
The simple answer is no. I mean, you have someone fulfilling that role right now. There's nothing saying it has to be paid. Can't be acting. I reviewed the charter today expecting this question, so I think maybe the answer is no. You're not in violation. I'll just leave it at that.
You said that's the simple answer.
Well,
I
I
think
think
so.
the spirit of the charter may be different than what the actual
Gotcha.
language says, but I can't, that's not, to answer the question, the answer is no.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. So I wanted to ask, you were saying, can you repeat what you said about having a union, can you repeat that? Having an acting chief that is not the union should be that tailored for me, sorry.
The chief is not one.
Individual, okay,
Will be on an acting chief.
it is in union, okay, got it, so
That's a simple.
perfect, that's all, that's exactly what I needed, thank you. Can you, to help me better understand, can you list the benefits by not having a chief be in the union, what they would be versus an acting chief being in the union? So what would the benefits be of not having a chief be in the union?
This is a question that I'm very curious about, and I would, this is just part of the discussion that I want to have. What's the benefit? What's the issue? One of my concerns is that, when discipline matters come up, then there could be a potential conflict of interest And there's a reason why the charter has it set up in this way. And,
I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
Discipline matters have come up under acting chief Brannigan, and they have been dealt with, fairly and, swiftly.
Can we give examples, just so we know what would a conflict of interest be in that type of situation where there could be a conflict of interest in a, just so I can understand that, what's it?
The union is in charge of the discipline of members of the union, correct?
No,
No,
I mean, like, they don't they have some say in what can and cannot? be
No.
done? No,
I mean, the mayor can initially, implement discipline. The chief can recommend,
she's a,
chief could recommend discipline. The mayor can implement the discipline on a short-term basis, and it's up for council to approve the discipline. So chief recommends, mayor implements temporary, council approves.
and how does that work? I guess the other question becomes also, then what is the difference? Like, if you have a chief, acting chief who's part of the union, and you're a disciplinary issue with that, how does that differ from the chief who is not part of?
it's
That
a
is-
player issue with,
With the chief, like, say you have an issue with the chief, right? We have a chief that is not a union member. Is there a different procedure with that?
I mean, that should.
There should, I mean, I feel like there's a level of protection that being a union provides. Separate than an at-will chief, correct?
You have some solicitor, he has some additional protections of being in the union. I mean, we could still discipline him, but he would have some additional protections being in the union, would be my answer.
Sure, and I think the conflict comes about during disciplinary action where you have two members of the same union being on one side of the aisle, for lack of a better term, but also one of those union members is on the other side of the aisle. So you have,
They're in a dual role, is what
Correct.
you're saying. It's
Correct.
conflicting.
and I'm not saying that it's incapable, they're incapable of doing both. I'm just saying that is where a potential conflict would arise.
It puts them in an uncomfortable situation.
Correct.
There is the, I mean, I'll admit there's the potential of the conflict. But I also would like to point out the conflict has not arisen in the last 3 years. But there is the potential. I'd also like to point out since 2004, and here's the list of, the police chiefs. Tim Logue, Bob Sifilat, Acting Chief Brannigan, Andy Bissecki, Acting Chief Brannigan, Bob Downey, Acting Chief Brannigan, Colin Cleary, Acting Chief Brannigan. So we've had a series of police officers act with a series of police chiefs during the last 22 years. As indicated, the morale is pretty good. It's excellent right now. The morale's excellent right now. So the question becomes, due to a potential conflict that's not arisen in 3 years, do we take a chance on a police chief, go through the interview process again, or do we keep the status quo for now, since things are so well? I think that's the issue.
I don't think we're saying definitively we would have, like, we're saying the option of advertising.
Correct.
The discussion is not official, I mean, we can put an ad out and not see anyone of any caliber for a year, 2 years, right? I mean, that is the
Yeah.
potential, but we could also miss out on something.
we did see candidates of caliber, so last time. I
As I put it, we didn't see anyone that would fit, we didn't think anyone
Yeah.
would fit well with
We
Green.
had some that were interviewed, but they also had applied for other positions. I mean, there's a lot of reasons that things happen. I'm saying, this is not we are going to absolutely hire. It's the possibility of leaving that door open because maybe the right person does fall.
Well, and also, by you reading that list, Mayor, we're seeing a pattern. We're seeing a pattern of chiefs leaving and acting chief bringing. Chiefs leaving, they're acting chief bringing. So I think at the very least, we owe it to advertise for a chief. Because obviously there is a pattern of chiefs leaving and being replaced.
Well, the only consistent theme in that list is acting chief Brannigan.
Correct. But why are chiefs leaving? I guess would also be a part of that culture. I mean, that's not would be, something that. Question. Right? Because I mean, it's 4 times in 29 years.
We're trying to avoid it this time.
I
Yeah,
would love
Chad.
that too, but we have to have.
Still, my request for this discussion is that as a borough, we have not consistently had a police chief. And to Chris's point, I'm sorry, Mr. Allen's point, we need that position filled to bring some staff consistency and to I completely agree with Mr. Allen, that it has been back and forth, and that does have an effect.
And not that we're not grateful
No,
that we've
no.
had him to be able to step in,
Absolutely.
but again, I feel like we owe it to at least attempt to see, and if we don't find someone, but I guess my question, Mayor, you said that we tried, council tried, we had interviews. When did we decide to stop trying? Was that a council decision, or because we have not had?
We actually did not decide to stop trying.
So why
We
did?
paused because there was going to be a change in council.
Okay.
There was an election happening. We did not find anyone. We wanted to take a beat, look at what we had done, decide, because the last time we did the search, we did use the Police Chiefs Association. And one of the things we did talk about as council was we had spent money to do that. We felt that a lot of what had been done could be done by council and in-house. And that if we were going to move forward, that we were gonna relook at the process. So that is, I believe, David, correct me if I'm wrong, where we left things when we finished the last
Yeah.
search.
So I just want, just so that, clear on the reasons why, Ms. Paskey, why you think it's important to have a permanent chief. The first one you cited was, we're violating the charter. Solicitor said we're not violating the charter.
I didn't say we're violating. I said I would like us to most consistent, well, I can read my words back to you, but it was, we need to.
Follow the
We
charter.
need to follow the charter. It's our duty. And the spirit of the
Sure.
charter, this is what's been laid out as the way a police department is run in this borough.
So,
And it seems like over and over and over, we just keep letting an acting chief instead of, and honestly, when I came in, this was one of the action items that I was given was like by residents, by other people that were like, this needs to be done. So I put it on the priority list and now I come to actually take action on that item. And I'm just really curious about all the pushback.
so you said that we need to start following the charter, which I assume means we're not currently following the charter.
Well, I think that an acting, when we fill a position with an acting, like an acting president or an acting borough manager, or the idea is that they're holding down the fort, they're doing the best they can, and they're not, for some reason or another, they've not actually taken that position actually. And so,
What do you mean?
meaning like, if someone's acting president, they're not able to be president, or they have not chosen to be president, for example.
Two things here. I'm concerned, the need to fill position. The need to fill position looks like, you want to get someone, let's get someone in there. I think if you're going to advertise, we see if any good candidates are out there. Not to say need to fill position, to see if any good candidates are out there, and if so, we're at. But maybe I'm playing semantics, but I don't like that need to fill.
I agree with you. I think it is,
That
I think,
seems too desperate.
I think it's more putting the position out to know, to find out if that ideal candidate doesn't spot.
And the other thing I think issue with holding down the fort, that is why I had, hopefully everybody was listening. That's why I had Acting Chief Rannigan to come here tonight to show he was not holding down the fort. He was taking a leadership role. He was being a leader, and we've accomplished a lot under his guidance. So he was not holding down the fort. So I just don't like that term. So that's just the terminology. Need to fill the position, holding down the fort. We have an excellent police department. We're doing well. I'm not 100% against advertising but just phraseology is, and the arguments are,
Just to let everyone know, we're not in desperate need of a chief. We have someone that is able to fill that position. But I think what's coming out of this is with the, when acting chief Brannigan became acting chief Brannigan, and then we hired a new chief. We changed that now because he's been acting chief so much that we know that he's going to be a humble position. Like what was different all those other times that we hired a new chief? Because I mean, technically, he could have been, the way we're talking, acting chief for since 2009. I mean, he could have literally been the acting chief that entire time. So I guess the question that gets asked, I think, throughout the community is, do we need a chief? I mean, you didn't need one,
all the things you just did.
Exactly, no, but I'm saying that we need to hire a chief.
I think having data to be able to provide the community on both sides, this is why we do need to have a chief, or this is why we don't, we need data to support that.
Yep.
Instead of, just claims. So I think that if we can come, whether it be next time with data claims, to be able to support, any type of.
So I had three of those questions. The first one is, what is the department currently missing by not having a permanent police chief? Second question is, what risks are we carrying by continuing without the permanent chief? And has a cost analysis been completed? So actually, I forwarded these questions a couple weeks ago, so because there's an additional cost to hiring a permanent chief. So what does that cost look like? And if the answer is that we're missing a little or the current risk is low, how do we justify any increased cost tied to the position?
So some of these questions, I looked at them, some of these are really hard to answer in public because a lot of them have to do with personnel information. And
Is there any non-personnel information, especially with that first question with what are we currently missing?
well, that's exactly what I laid out. It's like part of the unit, it's part of bargaining unit. And I don't believe he has the authority to hold some of the duties related to discipline matters without bias or conflict of interest. That's another issue. And who is subject to regular employment reviews by the county.
What data do you have?
The mayor just said that there could be a conflict when it comes to discipline issues. There could be.
But there's actual cases where he has disciplined police officers.
I understand, but we haven't had every possible discipline issue come up.
I think we have to come back at the next meeting with our data points laid out, maybe rehab the discussion.
Well, and one of the things I think also, if we're going to have that question, what actual harm would advertising it do? If
Absolutely.
we don't guarantee to hire someone, we're not changing anything, we're not taking any direct steps to change the fabric of police force right now. So that's a question we need to discuss as well.
Yeah.
Because it is an option, it's not a definitive choice. And I think that's always taking options off the table is not necessarily in our best interest if we're trying to serve the community. We want to keep all of our options on the table. And that's one of the things we have to discuss.
And Mr. Monty, I don't know if I can ask this question, but I just. Don't say, can I, it's just really hard, because I don't understand, the one question I can't get answered is, if he is acting chief, why do we not just make him chief? And I think that's what the residents keep asking.
Or we just decide that we don't need a chief.
Well, our
Because it's hard because we're splitting.
the charter says we're supposed to.
Yeah,
That's what I'm coming to
but
this
if we
meeting.
don't need one, then I guess the biggest argument here is if we need a police chief, and if we don't need a police chief, we just need an acting police chief, then we just have to make that decision that we are not hiring a police chief right now. And we have to figure out what the length of duration is going to be that we're not going to hire a police chief. Because right now we're not advertising, so that means we're not hiring a police chief currently. So to me, that means that we will indefinitely have an acting police chief, and as council, we have to discuss that's what we want to do, because that's what we're already doing, and it seems to be working. You know, he came up and told us all of the incredible things that have been done in his time as the acting chief. So it's whether we just decide, because that's something we have to decide, is if we want a chief or if we're okay with having an acting police chief. And if everything is as smooth as we're saying it is, then we just need an acting police chief until he no longer wants to be the acting police chief.
I have one question.
Yeah.
And this is Mr. Mayor, I recall, and this was before this council was seated, so, going back, there was a point where you had talked about us possibly needing an additional officer. No, it was stated at a meeting a while ago, I'm trying to remember when, but the potential that we might want an additional officer, so that's my only question, because when you have the acting police chief, then we would have that number. That's the only thing that
We have a full complement.
we have a
of
full
officers.
complement right now, correct,
We have a full complement of officers,
without a police chief though.
right, working shifts. We need 9 officers working shifts. We currently have 9 officers working shifts.
Correct.
So please have 11. So we have 9 now. And if we have one more, we have 10.
So if we had a chief of police, then we have the 9 plus the chief who could fill the gaps, correct? That was the way that it had previously been set up, am I correct?
And this is part of the reason why I said, let's just advertise. If we're gonna need another person anyway, let's see what we can get.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's the question here. Could we give acting chief Brannigan, make him chief, give him a 1-year contract, keep him in the union, allow him to work overtime? Does that violate anything? Make him chief, keep him in the union for a year. People
Feel like
working
this is a
overtime.
personnel matter, we should
Keep it all.
discuss.
I'm not sure it's personnel, but I don't have anywhere near the knowledge of your collective bargaining agreement with the union, so
I guess the question would be, the only question would be if someone would accept the chief position, the full-fledged chief position, would overtime be an option?
Most likely, no.
Okay, so that's where we have to have a discussion.
Yeah, most of the chiefs don't, they work a shift just to work the shift. but not
Yeah,
the shift.
so that would be a discussion, and I think we should do that in executive session.
Correct.
So I think that if we table it for right now, and then what we'll do is we'll have an executive session, we'll discuss everything. Once we have been able to discuss through, again, what would be personnel issues when it comes to salaries and bargaining and so on and so forth, then we can come back as a collective unit in July and decide if we're going to have.
With data,
With
that
data,
people need.
data coming out of our ears, and we'll have as much information as we can get. And I think that that's really what this collective body does well. We just do it better whenever we're able to
We
really
don't
talk
have
it
like
through.
whiteboards like it's
Yes.
in Congress.
And I think it'll just be
Yeah.
much easier when we're not taking up our residents' time. So I think we'll do an executive session. Does everybody think that's a good idea?
So we're deciding not to advertise at all.
Not at this
That's not
point,
at this moment.
we're gonna come back and convene
Yeah.
at July.
Ms. Cassidy, anything else, for your report?
Oh, no, my report was complete.
Okay.
Thank you.
You. Ms. Martorell, Public Works and Infrastructure.
All right, everyone, buckle up, sit down, get ready. We have the wonderful world of public works and infrastructure coming up. So, Mr. Wilson, this is my 3rd month coming in, as the chair of public works and infrastructure. So this has been a very new world of sewer systems and water runoff, and so it has been very exciting and learning a lot. So, the current council has been amazing with filling me in. Ms. Schwartz has been phenomenal. Our engineers, our public works crew, cannot thank them enough because I had no idea what I was walking into, and yet here we are. So the past 3 months, we have toured all over Green Tree, different stormwater runoff systems. We've learned about sewer, we've walked through road paving and what replacing sidewalks look like. So here I can't run him. We're coming in now, so this has been great. We have been meeting monthly with all together with our acting borough manager, our engineering team, public works, to meet to discuss all the projects that are going on in Green Tree, which has been very helpful to them, so that I can come to meetings and make sure that I can speak to it, to all of you, to what's happening, going on with our roads and our infrastructure and all the great things. So we are having our first public meeting next Thursday, June 11th at 7 p.m. So it'll be public, it'll be streaming as well as, and we'll get that information out to you in public in case anybody has any questions about our roads or sidewalks or sewers or whatever you'd like to talk about, please come and we'll be able to help answer any questions that you may have. If you don't have the answer, we will get it for you as quickly as possible. We've been talking with a lot of our residents who have questions about whether it's the road paving or they have questions about different catch basins that need to be cleaned off. And so our public works team has been great whenever I email Franco and ask them if he can help. They've been on it and always, as always, LSSE has been. Oh, thank you, Jason, in answering my questions about road paving. So we're learning a lot, which has been, here we are. So I'm gonna go through the updates. So bear with me as we go through. If anybody has anything to add from our public work team, or Jason, if there's anything that maybe we've had updates since our last meeting, please feel free just to jump in and correct me. We last met, on Thursday, May 30th, so there could have been some updates that happened between now and then. So first is Parkway Center Mall Drive. So currently it's in the process of getting our final, access agreements from the city of Pittsburgh, PennDOT, and Cosmic Development to start repair. As some of you know from the last meeting, there were some sewer system issues that run along the parkway that we found out after assessing it that are our responsibility. So we did vote on that to get that repaired. And so that's in the final stages of getting the final permits. We should have an update at the July council meeting on that part of the parkway and sewer systems. Next, Holiday Drive and Mansfield storm sewer improvements. So right now, the light reconstruction and pole placements are being completed by Duquesne Light. Public Works verified with Foster Plaza that irrigation repairs are not needed, so that was great. And LSSE is going to review restoration and coordinate closeout with the contractor prior to our July meeting. So in case you have questions about Holiday Drive. We do have some updates about the catch basin repairs. Our Borough Public Works sent an email at LSSE listing of the catch basins that need repair. And then we'll go through that tonight because that's going to be on our list of approvals to make sure those get repaired. And we did receive quotes for both the inlet repairs and bituminous curb to curb restoration, also associated with the inlet repairs. We'll go through that as well. The job was awarded, and they'll be on the agenda. So in case you have questions on that, will be there. Trumbull Drive Bridge, there's no update on Trumbull Drive at this time. Dale Drive, as we reviewed and discussed previously at the last meeting, we did discuss and authorize LSSE to evaluate a pipe in alternative. Originally, we were looking to just restore with the stormwater runoff that was already there, but then after we took 2-hour nice little walk through people's backyards, we decided the pipe in option would be better to explore. So right now the survey work is anticipated in June, and LSSE will coordinate with the borough and the residents to notice them of anticipated survey walk so that they will receive letters and not even know there's new people in the backyards. Next is going to be Glencoe Avenue stream water repair. Work has been initiated and should be completed if it hasn't already this week. Green Tree parking lots. So excited. We voted last week and thank you, Franco, for getting that done quickly. If we had to take a day back, but both the upper and lower parking lots were relined and completed last Thursday, 5/28. They were originally scheduled to do it the day before on Wednesday, but it rained. So thank you, Public Works, for getting that done quickly and had no disruption to the farmer's market. So there are beautiful lines. You can pull in. I'm not hitting anybody's car and it's great. So we're very excited about that. There was no disruption to the ball fields either. They were done by 2 o'clock. So everybody got set up in it. So very excited. I've never been so excited about parking lot lines in my life. And here we are. The Olive Garden sidewalk, LSSE did issue a notice to the property owner on April 29th. If you've noticed outside of Olive Garden, there's a real big issue with their sidewalks so cracked and we had some tripping hazards. So the property owner is currently coordinating quotations of repairs and anticipating repairs to be completed in June. So that should be all nice. So if anybody's walking by Olive Garden to the fields, you're not gonna die. You're not, we're not talking. Now you gotta pay attention, don't walk in the road, then I can't help you if we're gonna walk into the oncoming cars.
Right.
If you stay on the sidewalk, you'll be fine. The library and assembly room, the carpets were completed, which I think Ms. Schwartz already stated from previously, but then the popper room is going to start tomorrow. So we have new carpets there as well.
great carpet.
It's great carpet, yes, love is great, it is, it's phenomenal. Next, PennDOT, so the Green Light Go project, which is updating traffic signals. LSSE will move forward with the intersections at Green Tree Road and Carnahan and Nobletown and Mansfield. So that's gonna be moving forward, so with that, they'll have those replaced. Next is going to be the pole. So currently, I just have an overview, like a quick, where are we right now as the pole stands? So we're working with the planning committee this time. The LSSE is currently in the process of developing some big picture concepts and rough estimates based on our April 21st or their April 21st meeting with the Planning Commission of Public Works. So they've not fully developed any final recommendations yet, and they're just at the stage where they're narrowing down some paths to help Borough's decision to make a process. We will make sure that we work with the communications committee and with the residents on any type of moving forward things that we think that we're going to do, hopefully serving the residents. I also would like to get the pool management staff involved as well to provide their feedback, because they live and breathe that pool. So they see who uses it, they know the lifeguard situation as well as their head lifeguard, and get his feedback as well for anything. So to make sure that we're getting input this time around and moving forward. So that's where we're at that stage.
So, question, so,
Yes.
Mr. Stan, when do you think we can expect that?
I'd like to get that high level overview, scope, schedule, budget, deliverables, probably, mid-August in that timeframe.
Yeah.
The key element is obviously, the key objective is schedule and limiting it to one closed season. And so that schedule can drive some of the scope and the way we bid things and things like that. So, but that's when we anticipate at least providing a draft to Mr. Wilson, to Public Works Committee for discussion. It will summarize essentially where we were at with our planning commission at our meeting on the 21st. And there'll be some cost savings there. You know,
Cost savings in terms of what we had previously considered versus what we're gonna do, so.
yes,
Considerable in the 7-figure digits, potentially.
yes,
Is this also
yes.
involving the baby pool? Just like.
Baby pool too.
Includes some elements of the baby pool. It also includes some elements of the concession stand. And it's kind of complicated from the perspective that the borough does have, I think, 3 different grants from 3 different funding sources for 3 different elements.
Correct. Yeah.
Of the pool. So my vision is a simplified diagram of scope, projected dollars, funding source, schedule.
Good.
For the different elements.
And so the overall design is gonna be basically essentially the same footprint that we currently have with rehabbing the walls. And there are a couple of different options that we have on that.
Yes.
And it also includes adding restrooms that are accessible from Wilson Park.
Correct. That was one exterior or outward facing element.
Yeah.
The other portion of it, and summarizing that meeting that we had with the planning commission, would be to extend the useful life of what we have, because what we have is what the public enjoys.
Right.
Do we know the lifetime, like when we have estimates of what that extension will be? Like how many years?
30 to 50 years, yes.
Okay.
And also, you said during the closed season, since we aren't doing as much, obviously, as what we anticipated before, is there an option for us to do it in the off season?
Well, we want to, not the entire thing.
Okay.
So keeping closed one pool season, which would be from one Memorial Day to Labor Day. You know, ideally you want to start right after Labor Day and extend that following season to maximize, you know.
Well, we can talk about scheduling. We can do that.
Yes.
The other thing I wanted to point out, because it's come up this past week at the pool, any expenses that we've had that we've spent from the last pool design or lost. Right, we're talking two seventy-five, about 300. We're gonna save potentially millions of dollars, 7 figures, as Mr. Stanton said, going with this new design, so. So, the other thing is, in terms of the current state of the pool, there is, being told that there's, maybe that, Franco, maybe you can help us with this one, maybe there are 2 pumps, maybe 1 pump is leaking, but, the pool itself is not leaking. I think that's my understanding, is that?
That'll have to, yeah, I cannot answer that. Standing in front of this place, I mean, it is, it's horrible.
It's leaking.
Yeah.
So I know in the past, we
Then we have,
drop people in to repair the leaks, and we do that, or no? Okay,
we have an, the women's shower is not working.
okay,
We have issues with that. And the boilers failed. Boiler here failed. The boiler failed inspection state.
the boiler at the pool,
Yeah.
so that's why the heater isn't working.
Well, no, it should be working, but it's, the thermostat is leaking.
Okay,
We're gonna have to get that prepared. That seems like every day something.
hanging on by it, right?
Yeah.
All right.
So as soon as we can get.
Yes, plans.
Yeah, and again, the key element,
Since we're talking this, are we doing any mechanicals? You doing any pipe work?
yes, there's pipe work.
All the
included.
pipe work?
I hesitate to use the word all,
Okay,
but there is a significant amount of pipe work.
Okay. Smart, sorry.
No, that was, I only have one other, update, and it was just that Clearview Credit Union is gonna start construction. And now I'm giving another
I
law.
should also point out that Mr. Franco Ravetti is the new public works director, so we've been referring to him, so Franco.
Sorry.
Yes, thank you.
They may not really be pointed out.
I know.
so then we can talk about the morale of public works.
Yeah, tell us about
It
it.
went up 150%.
That's good.
Like that.
One quick thing on the swimming pool, I got an email just from one resident. They were talking about, not a ramp for handicapped people, something that lowers them into the pool, like I think we currently have
Yeah.
that. So just want to be sure that.
We're gonna be up that, yeah.
That's in the design, not only the ramp, but a thing that lowers.
It's a separate piece that you have to purchase. I know the one we currently have is full.
Yeah.
But that was already, and we were discussing the last, but that was on the list of things to update.
I didn't know whether the full design, you had to do something to the design to implement that left. So that place. Yeah, so I had a place, but anyhow.
In terms of ADA access, one element will be an ADA entry. And then the secondary ADA entry would be replacing the ladder chair, if you will, for ADA compliance. One's the primary, the other's the secondary.
Thank you.
Okay, ready, let's go, we're rolling. Okay, so next, the first resolution is gonna be, Commonwealth Finance Authority, Multimodal Transportation Fund, grant and the Green Tree Borough sidewalk phase. I move that we adopt resolution 1391, authorizing the council president and the borough manager to execute all documents and agreements between the borough of Green Tree and the Commonwealth Financing Authority to assist in obtaining a grant in the amount of $955,700 under the multimodal transportation fund to be used for Green Tree Road sidewalk rehabilitation.
A second.
Motion and second, any comments? Okay, can roll call vote, please?
Ms. Martorella?
Yes.
Mr. Panza?
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Kowski?
yes,
Ms. Godovic?
Yeah.
Mr. Ray?
Yeah.
Number 3, The Clearview Drive sanitary sewer line repairs, I move that the authorized sanitary type root control lining repairs be completed by Insight Pipe Contracting and Duke's Root Control via co-stars in the approximate amount of $19,419.50.
Second.
Motion is second, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
All right, number 4, 1027 Glencoe Avenue sanitary sewer repairs. I move that we authorize sanitary spot repairs to be completed by Casper Glassman and Son Inc. in the approximate amount of $17,500 under the 2023 roads and sewer maintenance blanket contract.
Second.
Motion is second, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes.
Number 5, 1027 Glencoe Avenue storm sewer repairs. Once more, I move that we authorize storm sewer manhole and pipe repairs to be completed by Casper Glassman and Son in the approximate amount of $6,500 under the 2023 roads and sewer maintenance blanket contract.
Second.
Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
All right, number 6, 2026 catch basin repairs. I move that we authorize 2026 catch basin repairs to be completed under Casper Glassman and Son. The approximate amount of $296,896 under the 2023 roads and sewer maintenance blanket contract.
Second.
Motion is second, Mr. Stanton, so how many catch basins are we talking about?
15,
15.
yes.
You need to put the list.
Yeah, I probably have.
Okay.
Busy.
I'm just thinking.
All in favor? Any other comments on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Number 7, 1220 Glencoe Avenue storm sewer repairs. I move that we authorize storm sewer repairs to be completed by Casper Glassman and Sons in an approximate amount of $25,500 under the 2023 roads and sewer maintenance blanket contract.
Second.
Second, motion is second, comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
All right, number 8, 2023 roads and sewer maintenance blanket contract renewal. So I move that we authorize extension of the 2023 roads and sewer maintenance blanket contract to Casper Glassman and Sons from July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2027.
Second.
So, I'm not sure if anybody has the answer to this, but the previous one went back 3 years. This next one is just going a year.
Yes.
So,
If I might, Mr. President, that contract was publicly bid and awarded in 2023. It's a 5-year contract. The unit prices adjust via consumer price index every year. The contract actually is a 1-year contract with 5 renewal dates.
okay, so this is the next step. I got it.
Yes.
Okay. Any other comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
So this is our final renewal then?
No, I believe
One
that
more.
there
Next year.
might be one
Okay.
after this year. Yes.
All right, number 9, Slavinsky Plan of Lot Subdivision Application. I move that we approve Slavinsky Plan of Lot Subdivision Application in accordance with the recommendation of the Planning Commission at its meeting held on May 27, 2026.
Second.
Any comments?
I was at the presentation and the vote at planning commission. This is a lot consolidation because of the deceased relative where they had most of the property. So it's kind of cleaning it up.
Is this the one behind Hill Park?
Yes.
Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Did it?
That's it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, community and employee engagement, Ms. Goodover.
Right, my committee didn't meet this month due to the Memorial Day holiday, but we will be reconvening in person on June 22nd at 6:30 p.m. If anyone wants to come. You'll have to forgive me, we've had some health issues in the last month that I did not really prepare a long, report other than the stuff that I really want to talk about tonight, which is the ongoing frustration with our, a system upgrade. The timeline and communication gaps have made it increasingly difficult to move this project forward responsibly or transparently. The initial AV reports were received in October of 2025, yet they sat on the former borough manager's desk until mid-February of this year. Our committee did not receive them until that point, which created a 4-month delay before we could even begin to review these proposals. Once the proposals were finally provided, my committee attempted to contact the original companies for clarification and updated information. All those calls went unanswered. Because of the lack of responsiveness, we brought in a third company to survey council chambers. They completed their site visit and produced 3 detailed proposals, giving us the first actionable path forward. After reviewing all available information, our committee made a recommendation to proceed with this third company based on responsiveness, clarity, and the completeness of the proposals. However, we learned later that Mr. Ray met with a 4th company just this past week, and he asked for them to prepare an additional proposal, which we just received, I believe, Friday. Friday. And yeah, and an updated proposal today. Then I got another updated proposal from the third company today as well. So we've been back and forth. So please don't think that this has just been sitting on my desk and we're doing nothing. There's a lot of behind the scenes work here. Anyway, the proposal that we received today from the 4th company, unfortunately and unfortunately, which was substantially less than all metal quotes. However, their proposal suggested some equipment that, on further research, is banned in the US because it's easily accessed by hackers. And the monitor system that they want to provide is security purposes, not so much for streaming, which is the big reason why we want to have this project done. And it's not NDA compliant. So all of these delays have just made life miserable for the last few months. At this point, the lack of communication and introduction of additional vendors without really very much coordination and repeated delays are preventing us from making any timely and responsible decisions at this point. We are excited, however, and believe that, to finally bring in our new borough manager. I'm going to be meeting with him tomorrow at 1:30 to discuss this further. Residents deserve transparency, efficiency, and a clear coordinated process, not one that continues to stall due to withheld information and unaligned actions. That's pretty much my report. Sorry that it's just not moved as fast as I would like it to move, and not nearly as fast as you guys want it to move. So I'm kind of behind this rock and a hard place at the moment.
Tina, can I add to your report? Because I'm on this committee with Tina. She has done a lot of work. We have met multiple times, tons and tons of emails back and forth. This has been a really arduous task, and we are so grateful for you, Mr. Wilson, that we're here, that she's able to, get some assistance with that. So I'm very hopeful that this will move very quickly now.
Okay, Mr. Panzer, your next community assets and recreation.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Mr. Wilson, little background for you to think about for when we do have our meeting. I was chair of recreation for the last 30 years, and recently, and just this year, my committee changed drastically. I am now head of recreation and community assets, my committee. Through the great insight of our president, he saw over the years the conflict of my committee being just in charge of recreation, where we were in charge of activities at the swimming pool, but not if we needed a new park bench at the swimming pool. You know, a lot of conflicts at the baseball fields. We were in charge of if a team would like to use the field, but if the dugout needed cleaned or repainted, we weren't. It was a whole different committee. our president saw the conflict and he resolved it by making my committee community assets and recreation. As far as the community assets, the three main things that we are going to be working on in the next year are the nature center, which we have a new group of energetic residents that are taking on revitalizing the nature center and the entire green environment of Green Tree. They're a wonderful group and that's coming along fantastically and we see great things coming. With the other is the baseball fields are active right now with Point Park wanting to redo their baseball fields. I got proposals to turf our local fields that we will start that movement and we'll see where that goes. And of course, the swimming pool where our committee asked the planning commission to look at the feasibility and then the planning commission then asked infrastructure to come up with a plan where ultimately we need to make a decision here with the swimming pool. So that will be the three main community asset projects that over the year we will be working on. As far as the recreation side, we have a wonderful recreation program. For the size of our community, when you see what all we do, our recreation board, where we have some members in the audience, I have to tell you what a great job they do. And for the amount we pay them, we get the biggest bang for our buck for what they get paid.
Yep.
I mean, honestly, I mean, the farmer's market, the summer rec program. And I could not say the word recreation without saying the word Oktoberfest. I'm sorry. Our whole committee is brand new. So we're starting all brand new. We have some old veterans that are returning, but we're starting anew. We're gonna pull this off and I'm glad you're gonna be part of it now. So look forward to getting to know Oktoberfest and learning about it. As far as, we're approaching the 2-hour mark, so I'm gonna go very quickly here. As far as the agenda items. One, I wanted to point out, Mayor, it's how lucky you are that your office hours end right when we start the trail cleanup at the nature center. So you pick up right from your office hours and come to the trail cleanup.
I'll be in a vehicle going to Alexandria, Virginia, to visit for the first time in the 5th grade in Chicago.
Okay, congratulations.
Yeah.
Okay, the one item on the agenda is there will be a proclamation that will be given to the American Legion on Flag Day. And I guess we'll present it on Flag Day. Side note real quick. Where's the home of Flag Day? Does anyone know what the home of Flag Day is? What?
Is it Collier or Heidelberg? Collier.
Collier Township, okay. You guys saw the sign also, okay? And then, our next recreation committee meeting / Oktoberfest meeting is June 15th, of course. Which we will have. And then the only other thing, very quickly, I need to make a motion to amend the agenda for a resignation and a appointment to the recreation committee. So I need a second to amend the.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to amend the agenda.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay. Yeah, I wonder, can I do both of? Yeah, okay, yes, I'd like to make a motion to add, can we do both at the same time, resignation and an appointment, or do them separately?
Those should be separate.
Okay.
You can, when you amended the agenda, you amended to specifically add this motion, so you don't have to do anything else other than just present your motion to accept the resignation.
Oh, okay. Okay, so yes, I would first like to present a motion to accept the resignation of Gina Diddick to the recreation
Okay, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Those, motion passes.
Okay, now, do I have to? So I have to make my, okay, I would like to make a motion that we, add Payne Robert to the recreation board.
All in favor?
Aye.
Serving the same term as the resignation. Okay, and believe it or not, that's the end of my report.
Well, thank you, Mr. Panza.
Thank you.
In terms of my report, I'll make it quick. I just want to acknowledge all the new hires that we had in addition. Mr. Wilson is the new borough manager, again, Franco Urbani as the director of public works. Franco has already made an impact, not only with personnel, but with improvements in the community. He's being proactive. He was working yesterday, addressing the poison hemlock in the nature center. So Franco, I appreciate you doing that. Jocelyn Fanny is the new front desk administrative assistant for the police department. We have a new front desk administrative assistant starting in the office, I believe, in 2 weeks. We have the interviews coming up for solicitor candidates the next 2 Mondays. And then we also have the job posting out for code enforcement officer. This is something I want to talk about. The code enforcement officer, it's obvious that there's been a vacancy there because when you drive around the community, there are a number of yards that are overgrown and not being addressed. And I'm being told, Mr. Wilson, maybe this is something you can look at. I'm being told that we previously had a policy to stop putting liens on properties when we went in and cut the lawns that were overgrown. For some reason, we stopped doing that. I think we need to, if we did stop doing that, I think it's something that we should probably start doing.
Phosphorus for.
I think it varied by the
Yes, I
size
know
of the
like
lot.
different boroughs have different amounts, so.
But it's something that needs to be addressed. Mr. Stanton, I think LSSC is serving as our interim code enforcement. So you drive around the town tomorrow, it is out of control.
Anywhere we can help, we're trying to help,
So,
and that's one of the areas.
so once we identify them, what happens next? So are we putting tags on doors? Like,
Issuing citations first, and then
well, that doesn't cut the grass.
I certainly get that, and there's a process associated with that that's not super efficient, and it's more of a legal process, but
There's a certain amount of time, correct, like,
yes,
we can order the citation, but we can't go and cut their grass until so much time is.
correct.
You know, how much time has passed?
I don't know that number right offhand.
Do you know?
It has to be adjudicated or lack thereof adjudication, so it's probably about 30 days. And that's not a great number, but
It's not a quick I worked in foreclosures, it is not. a quick process.
What about if it's a public safety issue? What is,
Like if a tree is down.
if a tree is down or,
Is that?
in a public right way, like.
No, it's on the property.
Well, like
it's on the property, but
It would cause a hazard for a mail carrier.
well,
I mean, obviously, the first time, you have to have that clear.
Well, I mean,
If they're not getting mail.
the mailman was supposed to deliver the mail, he can't safely do it, but, I mean. I would strongly advise cutting anything on someone's property without providing the police some notice.
Okay.
And that's something we can talk about internally about how to address it.
well, if you guys can make that a priority, because I can't remember the last time it's been this bad. It's really bad. It's really bad.
My concern more than the high grasses, the vacant houses, we have several vacant houses. And one, we mentioned the Green Ridge and Green Tree Road. There's one next door to me on Green, but anyhow, I think that's going up for sure, so. But I know of some others, so we have to get a process on vacant houses, and try to trace the owners. I know there's a conservatorship statute. Anyhow, we just have to look into that in the future.
Okay, so that covers the personnel items. Mr. Panza Summer Rec, did you forget to mention the volunteer updates? Is that something you want to discuss?
I think after the meeting, we have some people in the audience that would like to discuss that.
Okay.
If you have a minute.
There was a full update too, so, in terms of, admissions, right? So, we allow, guests come in with residents. There is, some concerns and challenges the pool staff are experiencing, when a resident brings in a guest who they don't know, like they come up, they're a non-resident, they're denied access because they don't have a non-resident pass, and then a resident might see that interaction and say, hey, come on, you can be my guest for the day. And if that person is a minor, then there's some issues with, whole host of issues that could arise from that. So the pool is working on a policy to make sure that doesn't happen. Mr. Rubene is looking into microsurfacing as maybe an alternative along with Mr. Wilson, an alternative to, our existing road program. Mr. Panza, talked about Birdtown. That group is doing unbelievable work in the community, especially in the nature center, events that they're hosting, the library. But I think it's something that Mr. Panza, I think this would fall under your group, that we formalize Birdtown. I know we're formally recognized today Birdtown, but to formalize that committee.
Yes, and change it from C, and
Right.
also Birdtime wants to make a presentation to us so we either at a council meeting or we were talking about after a farmer's market at the concert at Park. Possibly.
But I just think we should, you're right, we used to have C, that was a formal group that addressed our parts.
We need to
Formalize that.
Yeah, and you also, we talked about looking over the whole rec ages. Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
That's all what we work on this summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
For next year.
Yeah, for next year.
Just real quick with Birdtown, I think they're anticipating getting $1,000 grant.
Yeah.
So that's another reason to formalize them. Is if they're, apply for and receive grants, it's a Birdtown.
But and I'm sure there's still a seed account. There still should be a seed account.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay.
That they take over.
All right, so, a couple more things here. June 6th is the Nature Center Cleanup Day. June 27th, the library, it's a mosquito bucket where you go to bucket, catches mosquitoes. It's pretty cool. And then, that is the end of my reports. So, Mr. Wilson, you've been here for about 10 hours today. You ever report?
The first thing that happened this morning when I came to work is people started cleaning the window. And I have worked at the city of Lock Haven for 12 years. And I happen to know the last time the windows were washed at the city hall in Lock Haven was 1986. So I feel very much like I made an improvement in my position by coming to a place that washed the windows. But it's obvious when you look around the community how much everyone cares for the town in which they live. And the standards here are obviously very high. And that's because people care attention and make sure that they are well maintained and well cared for. And just today, I happened to be here on the same day that you start to sign up for water aerobics and also for summer programs. And that was nonstop in the window today. And I did get to meet Faye and her street end of octogenarians this morning. And like for everyone, if you have any questions or have any concern, please feel free to reach out to me. I know Faye and her street gang will, so you're welcome to as well.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Again, we're glad to have you on board. Okay, now, time opportunity for public comment on any borough-related items.
Seems like we always have long meetings when I have to bring something up.
Christine Short, 251 Park Edge. David, you had asked about, details on the ordinance. That was in a letter of recommendation to council. Plus it's in our minutes, but if you want us to get you something, we will formally.
For the survey. Okay, thank you.
Also, back in April, council meeting, I brought up Square App. And I read the video, I watched the video, I looked at the minutes, and I watched the video over and over again. There just seems to be so much back and forth. I know Mr. Panza said there was $1,000 in there, and then Mr. Ray, you stated you had the previous borough manager's email, and looking back, there was $3,650.83 in the individual's account. Yet another email states those dollars amount were transferred back to the borough. Do we know anything about this person's individual app who used to run Oktoberfest? Or are we still investigating it, or are we just gonna push it under the rug and not?
Currently, right now, we cannot legally pull anything from the app. I've spoken to Square, I had a meeting with Babette and confirmed that it was not in the borough's.
Right.
In the borough's EIN. So because of that, we have to wait. I don't know that it's something that we want to get a court order on or anything like that. Because that the only way that Square told me that I could pull that information. Now, with the emails that we have, the final transfer of funds was what was said was the final transfer of funds. I am suggesting that Babette sends an email out to the individual that was hosting that. I personally don't really have a relationship with them, but I believe she does from Oktoberfest. And to provide that information to us willingly, obviously, so that we can see what the final transaction were. Because no matter what I have done, Square won't even talk. They say that this was handled as a separate business, although when you join Square, you can call your business whatever you want.
Right.
You can call it Aunt Fanny's Balloons, and it could be under your social security number, and it could be under your information, because anybody can start a sole proprietorship, tomorrow, and Square will take that information. So, what we'll need is that reach out, and once we have that, and hopefully in good faith, we'll receive that final payout. We'll see actually the transaction log, but without the transaction log, we have none. But again, it will never happen again, because
When we look at our deposits.
we can, but unfortunately it goes into a general fund. So she has to go back and she has to look from basically a quote unquote personal deposit into the Green Tree general fund. So that's why she has to look for a line item, essentially that would have been transferred. And because from the email, if I remember correctly, our previous borough manager confirmed that deposit went in, correct?
Yeah.
So what
Out of 3,000.
Yeah, so what we need right now is confirmation that that was all that was left in that account. That's what we don't have, we can't get that information because it was in our name, but it wasn't in our name.
Right.
So that's where there's an issue.
And
So,
to be clear, it was an individual account.
correct,
But it's a shame because we truly don't know how much money was in that individual account for Oktoberfest. So I get it.
but moving forward, we will have our own account.
Right.
We, to be completely transparent, we will not be writing anything out of that account because, with the accounts that I've been working with, you have to write so much out of it with POs and checks for it to make sense. But we will have our own separate bank account that we will keep that money in, and then those funds can be transferred from our accounts, the Oktoberfest account, over to the general fund. The general fund will then pay out any POs that we have, but we will have a separate ledger and record for the first time, I think, in the history of Oktoberfest. We will have our own checks and balances and finances, and as I made the promise a couple of months ago, I am keeping both eyes on what those finances are this year. In the past, digging up stuff has been, again, difficult because it was a personal situation, but once I have that information, I promise that I will report as long as he'll give it to us again, because that individual would have to willingly give us the information of the transfer.
And then I could just have one other thing. When it comes to appointments, the rec board, library board, planning commission, zoning, I know Mr. Ray, like, we were getting ready somebody was getting ready to appoint somebody to say to the planning commission. And then you had brought up during the meeting, it was previous council, not this current council, that we should do interviews. I think it's a great idea to get new people coming in, but I know we're all busy up there. You guys are really, really busy, it's your job, but can we try to make those interviews before the folks' terms are up? I was on planning commission and I got interviewed after my term was up. Rec board, my term was up in March, I got interviewed 2 months afterwards. So, you know, if you want new people, that's fine, but there's people willing to still volunteer, try to make it on or before, if at all possible. I know you folks are all busy, but I've been hearing a little bit of scutterbutt, like, why is it taking so long? Why is it taking so long?
Yeah,
So-
that makes sense.
I think like the way
Yeah,
that,
most of
right,
them would fall in your,
but
you-
planning and zoning,
yeah.
yeah, but and then rec has theirs and library board. Oh, they're all, I mean.
Yeah.
Kind of sort of, well,
well, library.
library board, I'm on liaison, but they do their own thing. I think part of the reason is that happened in our December meeting. When we made that decision, or November, so there wasn't time, but now that we know that that is the process that council has adopted. I think we can definitely know which terms are up come October before and set those interviews for November, December, so that everything is done.
Yeah.
In hindsight, it's I mean, it was just the timing last year,
I
but
think-
going forward, I don't see any reason why.
Yeah, I think if the office can help with that too.
Yeah.
There's been years where you missed the expiration of the term.
Right.
And they just keep serving, so if we proactively look at whatever the date is, go back upon interview while you're still.
Usually, I mean, at least for planning commission and zoning, they're on a calendar year, so I believe their terms typically expire in December.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment?
Well, I would love to make a motion to adjourn this.
Oh, wait, no, we have one more.
Sorry.
You can hold that.
Aldo Arcavati, 143 Sheldon Avenue. Okay, some things here. First of all, I would like to welcome Mr. Wilson, the community. Thank you for being here. I think it's important that residents welcome someone new. So that's the first thing. Concerning the proposed deer ordinance, it was discussed about when council can comment on it. So I would like to ask about residents commenting on it. I guess that's the next meeting. I think that should be clearly stated. When residents will be able to comment on that.
It's just, yeah, just like any other ordinance, it'll be.
Okay, thank you. In regard to that also, I think some sort of a summary of the survey, the deer survey as suggested would be helpful to have before that, because that might influence people's comments. For instance, I might be thinking something and I would, when I see that 75% of the people in Green Tree also feel the same way about a particular matter, about the deer or whatever, that might influence my comments to think that I'm thinking like everyone else instead of out of step with everyone else or whatever. So I think having that information of some survey, some summary of the survey ahead of time would be helpful to influence or guide public comment. Maybe I shouldn't say influence. Number 3, in the borough newsletter, there's an Oktoberfest survey with a QR code. I think if it is not available without a QR code, like a paper copy of the survey, for people who do not have access to the QR code kind of system or don't want to or don't know how it works or whatever, that we could still comment on something important like Oktoberfest, perhaps have a paper copy available at the borough office that people could complete. That's very minor, but I think that would be helpful. Concerning the discussion regarding the acting police chief, or hiring a new police chief, there was mention of data-driven things and having executive session. I think similar to my earlier comment, borough resident comment also is part of the data-driven process. And so in that regard, I think public input
on this is important. And perhaps when this is discussed again, there could be more comment from the public in that regard. But I think the views of the public on the police chief is very important. And along those lines, the system of the current situation of it being an acting chief, I see it as similar as the acting borough manager. That's meant to be temporary, not a permanent situation. So the idea that, well, everything's going along fine, we'll just keep doing what we're doing. I think the reason why the charter, if it's the charter or whatever it is, provides for a police chief is because the idea that you would have a police chief at some point, not just active. So I think, just thinking that everything is going along just fine, that's why we get a new borough manager, because we're supposed to have a borough manager, not just active. So I think that's a very important comment. And along that line, I was a little bit troubled by, and I hate to say this with all due respect to everybody, including the police, all the council people, and everyone here. I was a little troubled by the comment regarding police morale. And that right now, there's good police morale, and so we can just continue with, what we're doing. Does that suggest that we would not, I don't think it suggests that, but I want to be perfectly clear. Does that suggest that we'll wait till we have bad morale in the police department before we think we need a new police chief? I think that really is a strange thing to comment. So along those lines, and I'm also hesitant to say this, but perhaps good morale in the police department might be, how should I say, good morale in the police department might be due to the fact we don't have a police chief. The sort of, as someone says, you have a football coach who's a player's coach, and then you have a football coach who is the company, the team leader or whatever. So sometimes you have a player's coach and everything is, perfectly fine. All the players really love the player's coach, but maybe the record isn't very good of the team. So I think we have to be careful there, thinking that because morale is good, that there's no problem. I hate to bring that up, especially in a public setting such as this. The police officers are not here right now, so I feel a little bit better mentioning it. But they may remember the minutes. But I think that's an important point. And I'm not casting any aspersions or anything on anyone in the police department. I think we have a very fine police department that we can be very proud of, and I want to be clear about that. But I do believe that just like an acting borough manager, an acting police chief is supposed to be temporary. It's not supposed to be something, everything's fine, we're just going to keep on doing what we're doing. And so I think those things needed to be mentioned. I think that pretty well covers my comments at this time. Thank you.
I have a question on it. Would you agree that you could have a work environment where you have great morale and be highly productive?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's what the goal should be, correct? And I think you can have great morale with a new police chief, just like you can have great morale with, an acting chief or whatever. Everything ought to be,
You could have a new police chief with horrible morale, and so
that could be a possibility too, but it's not, I don't think the risk of having lousy morale should be a reason not to do something. The fear of the outcome, shouldn't necessarily, everything is fine. If it isn't broken, don't fix it. I don't think that that's always, the right idea. I appreciate that very much, that you have to very carefully consider when you want to change things or tinker with them, that you and that things should not be done just on a knee jerk or without careful consideration or whatever. So yes, I think that's very important. And you don't want to blow something up or break something that's going along fine, but I think you have to keep in mind what the overall
goal of the operation is and the purpose of it. And I did, though, think it was a very good idea to at least start having that discussion. At tonight's meeting, I salute Ms. Caskey and her committee for, bringing that up. And I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? I just want to second, Otto's, characterization of the discussion, so I do thank you for where the opportunity to bring this to council's attention. And appreciate everybody's productive discourse around that discussion. Look forward to continued conversations. So before we adjourn, our next meeting is July 6th, so happy 4th, everybody, and to the United States. We are adjourned.
Yeah, go for it.
I did.
It was just on hold.
It's on hold.
Made the motion earlier, and it was like.